Hello, everybody. My name is Lewis Lee, and this is Plan in Traffic. Like I say every week, we do this every Thursday night at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. So please tell everybody what we do. Talk about cars, boats, trucks, anything you put gas in. Today, I'm on the road, and we're at Gil's shop that came on last week. Gil from GCD Studios. And this facility is very, very nice. He took me on a good tour today, and they're doing some great work. So if you get a chance, check them out on PowerTube TV, and also check us out on PowerTube TV as well. What's up, Ray?
Lewis, good to see you again. Good to be here. And as far as Gil Shop goes, I have a request.
All right.
I'd like you to send me a picture of the world's largest wall of thread.
Oh, I got it. I took it especially for you.
Good, because we were just talking before the show, and I'm hoping to get up to Gil's for his open house later this month, and I get my own damn picture. But just in case,
Yeah. So I didn't realize this, but he showed me that all the thread on the wall, it matches up with the leather company, and it has codes. So the thread matches the leather that he orders.
now that's just being too damn smart about business. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, because that makes so much sense, right?
Yep.
I mean, why wouldn't you get the thread that matches or complements the leathers? But I'm sure a lot of guys don't. They just do what
Get
they
close
need
as
if they
possible.
need it. Yeah, yeah.
So
No,
that's what I do. I get close as I can to the color, or
yeah.
But I'm starting to I'm liking the stuff that I do, the leather products that I do. I'm starting to like off color with the leather. So
Okay.
if it's like a brown, maybe put a yellow thread in or a white
Yeah.
thread, and it's I'm starting to like that a lot.
No, the contrast is very, very nice.
Hmm.
And kind of like along the lines of, my buddy who wants to go up to see Gil's place because he wants to have some interior work done on his Lincoln. Uh, Along the same vein, but different. He wants to do a white seats with a black piping, and
Hmm.
that's just a bigger way of making that contrast with the piping. But when they do the contrasting stitch, and like with a baseball stitch or whatever they do, there's many ways of doing stitching. That really makes whatever it is, a seat, a bag, a hat, a shirt,
Yeah,
it makes it pop. It really does.
yeah. His
You know,
so I met all the guys that's on all his videos. Man, those guys are putting in work, man. You should see some of the interiors.
how many
It
people does he have at his shop? I think
um
he told us last week, but I don't remember.
I
That's
want to say 10 or 12 maybe.
okay. All right.
I know it was three guys in or two guys in the interior. He had two or three guys over in the body shop. And he had two or three guys over in the fabricating shop. And he had I think two guys doing some electronic stuff. He has a really nice setup. Yep.
You
If you're
think?
ever in the area.
Like I said, I plan on going up there for the open house. You think the guys like Gil's a boss? You think he's a good boss, or or
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
you
good.
can see that they have a relationship because my wife brought this up. She goes, he introduced us to every employee.
Okay.
So,
He's
that kind of stuff stands out that, he has a relationship with these guys. They're not just guys in there working.
and he's not hiding anything because
Hmm.
let's face it, you can always have an employee who's like the upstart or like we don't want him talking to the customers. It's like
Yeah.
just let him work and be quiet. So he may not get the big intro, but that's good. That's again very. I got
Well,
that vibe off of Gil. Yeah,
yeah. Nice guy. His wife, met his wife. Nice lady. Or Lisa. Is it Lisa? Yeah, Lisa.
yeah,
Um, yeah, nice place. Beautiful buildings.
yeah. And what town is he in? He said last week again too. He said what town he was in, but now I don't
He
remember.
is in Florida, New
Oh, he's
York.
in Florida. Okay, got it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
I know where it is. Yeah, like I said, hopefully later in the month I'll get up there for the open house with my buddy, and we'll get to check it out ourselves and see what it's all about. Because yeah, I'd like and I would love for him to get the business because the people that we have on here and the people that I have on Motor Mouth Radio, we love to support our sponsors and our guests,
Yeah,
And
most definitely.
we want to see everybody get ahead, and so that's that's kind of
Yeah.
key.
So on planningtraffic.com, I'm going to start or the YouTube channel. I'm going to start adding all the places that we're stopping.
Oh yeah.
So I'm trying to stop at all the car places that deal with us.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, people that's been on the show or sponsors. So if anybody wants me to stop at their place, send me a message, and if I'm anywhere in that vicinity, I'll try to stop.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I like to do interviews and see everybody shop.
Sure.
Big shop, small shop, don't matter. Just let me know if you want me to stop.
Sure. So the big question is, and since you're not complaining about it, I guess it's a good thing. How is the bus running?
Running great.
Nice.
Knock on wood. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's running, man. I'm
Nice.
really, really, really happy with it. I tell you,
Good.
I put those bigger injectors in, and I can
Uh-huh.
tell the difference.
Okay.
Yeah, to run up a hill now for sure.
How much bigger did you go?
I had 215s in, and I went to 300.
Okay. Now,
So
here's something that a lot of people don't understand. You could actually go to a bigger injector or a different carburetor that has keyword different carburetor that has a maybe larger CFM than you had, and you could get better mileage and performance
yeah,
because the engine now uses the fuel more efficiently. It's metered better. So I'd be curious to see if you do get a little better fuel economy.
yeah. When I get back home, I'm going to do the math, but I'm thinking I'm probably getting 9 or 10 miles a gallon now instead of
Uh-huh.
8, and I can feel that it's not struggling at all. It's just running. You know what I
Well,
mean?
that's the thing. That you kind of hit it on the head. When the motor has to struggle and work hard, you get that heavy duty cycle, and it's like trying to climb steps holding 150 pounds
Yeah,
as opposed to going up with nothing. And that's why racers always made their cars lighter, increased the horsepower but reduced the weight because the power to weight ratio made it faster. But you could use it the other way too. You could have a moderately powered vehicle that's and reduce the weight and get better performance, meaning better drivability, better tire life, better mileage. There's many ways of shaving that that tiki tree. So
right.
yeah, I'd be curious to see if you do better. I think you will. I do. I think you will.
Yeah, I'm thinking so. So I'll just put a QR code up here. Wait, where's my hand?
I
Up
see
here.
that. No, raise your right hand.
Is it other hand?
Your other right. Well, now bring it in frame. Nope. Go over to the other. I'm looking. Yeah, bring it right by your head. It's right. Yeah, there you go. That's it. You're right. Now you're on it. You're on it.
Yeah,
You
I'm
got it.
looking at this on this side.
No, yeah, you got it. That's right for me.
All right,
Okay.
so the QR code, if you guys want to go to our store to help support our channel, we have hats and cups and all that good stuff, t-shirts. So yeah, if you guys want to help us out, please check it out.
Nice. Nice.
I'll leave it up for a minute. So yeah, it's running pretty good. I got a list of things I want to do when I get back home before we head west. But small stuff, just little things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always something. I mean, it's
Yeah. Yep.
I
When you're
don't
living in it.
I don't think the vehicle exists that doesn't need some kind of tweaking. You know,
Yeah.
and you're on a relatively new build too, so you're still working through bugs. I mean, now you just worked through a big one,
Yeah. Yep.
so hopefully the everything ahead is going to be a small bug.
What's nice is not that I had to spend all this money and go through the problem, but I'm more familiar with it because I put my hands on a lot of stuff. So
Right.
I mean,
Right.
I'm back into knowing what I'm looking at.
Well, we talk about that all the time. You really, car guys really are in the best situation like that because most guys coming up, would build their own stuff and service it, and they work on their family cars and whatnot. And
Right.
and the way to know something is to have your hands in it. I mean, you just gotta, you gotta live in the thing.
Yep.
Uh, and that could be just that, you do it all day. You're a mechanic and you do it all day. You work on those vehicles, but you know, but your project cars are the same way. So yeah, you got to getting that familiarity.
Yep. So let's get the fellas in and see what they're talking about tonight.
That's called walking the walk and talking the talk.
Yeah. Right.
Hey
Brian,
guys,
you
what's
watching
up?
those fight videos again?
What?
What are you
You watch
watching?
those fight videos again?
No.
The hell are you watching?
Nothing but trouble. What's going on, guys?
Brian.
Another day in the big city. Well, I'm in the
No
little
shit.
city, but
It's absolutely insane.
yeah.
Yep.
What's up, Keith? Jim?
Not much. I'm trying to sell my dad's old van, and it's has a oils. It's burning oil. There's some smoke oil. I don't know. And so I started looking into it. I don't know if it's still leaking or if it leaked in the past. But
Put sawdust in it.
Yeah.
yeah. I think it was leaking a long time, and then the catalytic converter sits right underneath the engine, and I think the catalytic converter is like totally caked on with oil, and it looks like oil got like inside the crimp joints.
Yeah.
Because I had the bright idea to get a torch. I'm
Oh,
like, I'll burn the oil. It's a catalytic converter, right? It gets hot. I can put a torch on it. So I'm burning it, and then right over where the crimp seals are, the whatever it is, like flames are shooting out. I'm like, oh, there must be a lot of oil there.
yeah.
So I don't know. I'm trying to sell it, and then I would drive around, and everybody sees the smoke pouring out of it. Like, oh, I don't want to buy it. It's leaking oil like all over the place. But I've not seen like a huge leak, so I don't know if my dad fixed it and just was driving and letting the oil burn off.
What kind of van is it?
It's
You need to spray it down. You need to really.
That's what I did today.
You really
I
need
was,
to.
I was nice and loopy earlier. I got 2 cans of brake clean, spraying everything all over the
No,
place.
you need that gunk.
Yeah, you need
I
to
did
get
that.
a gunk engine and just let it soak in there and let it soak it for a little bit and really hose it all.
Yeah,
in.
I did that first.
It'll take a while to burn off. We used to have that problem with the 911s over the heater boxes.
Yeah.
And man, that was the worst because, if the oil tubes were leaking, the push rod tubes were leaking, and it leaked right onto that box. And it's the same thing. It's just crimp after crimp of metal, and they get down in there, and that would just smoke and smoke and smoke. And you really had to hose them off and let them soak.
Yeah, that's what. And I was like, "Oh, there must be a huge oil leak." I'm like, "There's no oil on the floor when I so it's not a huge oil leak when I'm driving. So it must have just built up.
Yeah, the converter was catching it.
Yeah, it's just sitting in the whole converter's like full of oil, put a quart of oil on that thing.
Put another shield over the converter so it'll shed off.
Yeah, it doesn't help with all the oil that's in there already.
Well, speaking of converters, Keith, you hit the nail on the head last week.
Yeah, yep.
Talking about the converter, you left a comment about asking if the heat shield fit, and on that first converter I bought, it sure didn't. I had to hog out the holes, and even the second one I bought that cost me $760. I had to finagle it. I actually had to take a hammer and kind of hit the shield in a couple places to kind of make it conform. It wasn't too bad. It went pretty easy. But when I read that comment, I'm like, oh, God, man, you can tell when a guy's been there and done that because, you would only know that by being there. So
I had on the new converter, the new Chinese converter I heated it up and I had to bang it into place. The actual bracket that was on the converter, moved it so I was like, all right.
I didn't heat it. I just banged it.
Yeah. I give myself a little break with the hammer.
Yeah.
Well, you can just take my motto for 2026 and just light a match.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the way.
I should have used my inductor. Would have been a good way to play with that thing. Oh, well.
Yeah, well.
I don't know. I mean, I use an inductor for all the right reasons. And I don't know if that's one of the reasons. I'd be curious to see if you could use one to heat it. Maybe
it's just a little bracket with a hole in it. It would heat it up, right?
As long as you had a tube that you fit around it, you got to go around. I mean, the inductor has to go around.
Mine actually there were 4 stanchions on the converter, and the shield just fit over those 4 stanchions, and they were just 4 access holes, and it was an E10 screw, which I guess is like it was an E10 head, so I guess that's like I'm learning more metric now. I think it's probably about a 7 millimeter.
Yeah,
it was small, they weren't big.
Yeah,
just took a little bit of finagling, a little fiddling. That's all.
Yep.
So
What kind of van is it?
The heat shield. Don't worry about it.
That's what I was thinking. Just leave it off.
right.
It's a Honda Odyssey. The converters were on Honda Odyssey. The one that has the oil leak is a 2004 Mazda MPV.
Ah,
Yeah. That's what I was left with to sell.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like, couldn't you get something cool?
yeah, right.
I tried to have him get something cool. When let's get a pickup truck. Why don't you get a Miata or something? Something. Get a Corvette.
Ferrari, Lamborghini.
He's not. Yeah, that would have been nice, but wouldn't go from an MPV van to a Ferrari. That's not the.
No.
Can't step that far.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go to Carlisle, I think, tomorrow. The fall.
Oh, you're in
Carlisle.
Pennsylvania?
Yeah, well, we're in New York, but I'm gonna leave here. We're at Gil's shop, and
Okay.
we're gonna leave here and go to Carlisle on the way back.
Is there anything happening there? Any event?
It's the fall
show.
Yeah.
Fall show?
It's called "Make My Wife Walk Her Ass Off" show. Just to be saying, what the hell did you bring me here for?
Yeah, Carriage Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that hill. That hill's weird to me. Having a cars on the hill looking at them. That was kind of odd.
Yeah.
Yeah. Weird fairground.
Yeah.
So Brian, you need any parts? Let me know. I'll grab them for you.
Yeah, I'm good. I really just need I need to condense my work time to give me a little bit more time to work. I tried to come down and work a little bit, but time you get started. Actually, I really need to get my ass in gear, and the shed that we had built, I need to get the shit organized and put in there and put away instead of playing around, so that I could clear some space out, because there's quite a few things that I keep moving around here that's supposed to go in, and
Yeah, it's gonna get cold on you. You better start doing it.
it's all right. I work in the cold a lot better, so.
Do.
And the garage is heated and air conditioning, so it's. I'm sorry, it's nice.
Yeah, bougie.
Well, that's why they're called project cars. And speaking of Carlisle, my buddy Bob from the Oldsmobile Club was over last week, and I had some magazines for him. He had some magazines for me, and I don't know how we got on talking. Ended up talking. I brought up you, Brian. I brought up Macroman Brian. I was talking about you. I was telling him a story or two, and I don't remember what, but I said, I was telling him how you trace down your skips and all. I gave him the whole story, and I showed him a picture of your book and all. And he was laughing. He goes, "Man, that's great," because he's been a small business guy. He goes, "That's fantastic." I said, "Well, no, you got to realize." I said, "Brian's not like he's not a midget." I said, "He's a big boy." So I actually showed him a picture of you at Carlisle holding the two Mustang fenders, and he just looked at me. He looked at the phone. He looked up at me. He was like, "He holding one?" I said, "Yeah, he's holding two fenders." He's like, "Does he usually walk around with those?" I was like, "No, he usually walks around with two rear ends." I said, "This time he just happened. He was doing a light workout." So
last Sunday, I went to Harbor Freight and went in and was walking around and came out. And I tell you, the best thing, I used to work with the guy when we were at one time before Porsche had gotten four-wheel drive. The Subarus and the Porsche were in the same building for repairs. The shop was half Subaru and half the Porsche's guys. Mm-hmm. And a guy I worked there, friends with forever. And then, of course, when we got a four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive car, we could no longer have the Subarus anywhere near us because they don't want the customers to see the Subarus.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, look, dude, the guy's buying, at that time, a $65,000 car. He's not buying, a $10,000 Subaru. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Just but we had to separate, and they had their own building. We had our own building. Well, long story short, the Dolly had gone off, got his own shop. Actually, he's the guy that is the first guy that pulled out the gas tanks and put an EV station. He's got the EV station and so forth.
Right.
So, but it was kind of funny. I'm in Harbor Freight walking around and just doing my thing, and I turn the corner, and there's Dolly pulling stuff off the rack, you know, and he looks over and goes, "Oh, hey, Brian," and he's like hiding the stuff.
Yeah, like you don't know where he is or what he's doing.
And I was like, what are you doing? He's like, "Oh, well, you know, I got, you know," and I'm like, "It's all right, man." It's, dude.
That's hilarious.
But it was so funny. He's like, because, you know, he's got a, I don't know what year, 2002 BMW. I think it's a 70, I think.
That was right in the mid. Yeah, they went up to the 70 something. Yeah, it was like 67 or 68.
I don't know. It's the one I think with the
Is it a round light car?
What?
Round lights in the rear?
Yeah, it's the harder one. There's round and square, I think,
Yeah,
right?
The round light is the earlier one. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got one that he has a guy restoring or welding in some panels.
Oh yeah,
at his house, you know. And but it was just funny. He had asked me a couple weeks ago. He's like, "Who's doing the welding on your Mustang?" And I said, "I am." And he looked like, "You could do that too?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's real simple. Why don't you buy a welder and I'll come over and show you how to do it." But he had a guy come over to his house and was doing it. But he goes, "Well, I'm just picking up a few things for stuff." I was like, "Hey, man, it's okay. It's relaxed."
You know, yeah, should have put your hand on his shoulder and says, "Listen, dude, it's a free country. You can do whatever you want. You don't owe me any money."
And he's a little guy, so he's like, yeah, so.
Well, he didn't think, why were you in there?
Yeah, I know. He never.
That's the more interesting question. He should have put the script. Say, "Wait a minute, what the hell are you doing?"
Yeah, he was. But it was funny though.
You're doing your own rebranding.
I guess it was the last person he thought walking into Harbor Freight.
You mean Mako has the dealers do the rebranding now? That's weird.
That's right. Well, we got to be like Snap-on. I mean, I didn't say that out loud.
So, yeah, we changed the handles on the screwdrivers, everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
The ratchets already look like ours, so we just.
Might as well.
You know.
Yeah. So that was kind of funny. That was the highlight because it was actually kind of quiet in there.
That is funny.
So, I wanted to go back later in the afternoon. You got those guys that try to get there before work, and then when they get off work. So
yeah, that makes sense.
So I don't know, but other than unfortunately, we had to put one of my pups down, and that was he was. That was our golden Riley. So it's been kind of a weird week.
I can definitely sympathize because I thought that's what I was doing yesterday and again today with our cat.
Yeah,
the cat's back legs just go out on her. She can't walk.
Oh boy!
So we go in and then I mean, listen, we've already spent $5,000 this week. It was like to the one vet, and they did he did some tests. That was only $283. That was cheap. He sends us over to a surgical hospital where he did a CAT scan. What else would they do on a cat, right? That was $2,800. Then yesterday we went to the other vet that we used, who's only catnip and carrots. She only does cats and rabbits. Uh-huh. She did an X-ray and they found a mass. So they gave us some steroids. We picked her up today. They told us that we were waiting to hear today. The radiologist was going to confer with her. And we were just waiting. We figured this is going to be it. This is going to be, this is it. And it's funny. I was telling my daughter, because this was really kind of her cat. This is the first animal we had when she was old enough, even though she was in like middle school, to see it right through to the whole light.
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, Jen, I said it's kind of weird. I do crossword puzzles every day, and I said I was doing a puzzle this morning, and one of the words across was a household pet, and the answer was cat. I said, and just a couple blocks away, there was another clue that was, it was like, I forget how the clue read. Um, it was like, the final thing, whatever, and it was like end of line. And I'm like, oh shit, I got end of line and cat. And today I'm waiting to get this phone call. Figured this is gonna. It's like, what is this? The puzzles? Because I've had shit happen in crossword puzzles
Yeah.
that happened to me that like directly pertain to my life that day. So I'm just saying. So I read that and said, yeah, today's the day. And now, what do you know? They call us because yeah, come take the cat home. Like what? Like
Yeah, we
in a box?
stumbled. We had a couple days. I don't know, maybe a week ago. It'd be for a golden not to eat is like something's wrong, and he got real finicky with his food, and he'd eat a little bit, not eat. He'd go a day without eating, and I wasn't really too concerned because he was drinking water still. He would still drink water and go out and do his normal stuff, and then he'd eat a couple days, and then it was off. He would either have breakfast or not and have dinner. He was just kind of funny with his eating. And so I don't know. I guess it was like Thursday and Friday. He didn't eat at all. He didn't eat, and he was in his routine. But like I said, he didn't even walk right. He was like one click off, walking. And I was like, man, this isn't going to be good.
Yeah.
Saturday, I guess it was Saturday. Man, he got up. He acted like he was 4 years old again. I mean, and I was like, well, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then Sunday came along and he didn't eat. And then Monday we took him in, and I guess one of the only things that was very hard to well, not hard, but one of his biggest problem was he was just breathing super, super hard.
Oh.
It was like he was just got done running and coming in,
Right,
but he'd get up, walk into the kitchen, and he would just be panting and breathing super hard. And so basically he had water around his heart.
Oh, yeah.
And the pressure from all that. And they really just said it could just be any minute. He could get up and die. It was just the way it was. And
right.
I knew, not eating.
Yeah.
It was amazing how much weight he lost.
Yeah.
Really fast for not eating.
How old was he?
12, I think.
Okay. Yeah, our cat's 12 too. It's the same age.
I think it's 12. Let's see. I'm trying to think.
I was explaining to Jenny, I said, this is the thing, we as caregivers, we have that supreme ability. And I said, don't take this wrong. I don't want to mean it the wrong way, but like we get to play God. We can decide when they live or when they pass. I said, but in a humane way. I said, people don't have that ability. Well, in some states they do. They actually do have a right to die law now. I said, but at least, but we have to be that arbiter, and the animals, like a kid, they can't talk to you. They can't tell you what they feel. You have to go by those cues, and it's never easy. I don't care.
So
people say it is, but you're lying if you.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so Lucy, that's our black lab.
That's the whole other side, yeah.
And the black lab pit mix, great dog. Like I said, and it's a little funny because now when Riley, that was a golden, when he was a pup, and when we had him, we had Max with us, and Max was a Westie Terrier, and those two were Mutt and Jeff, man. Like I said, this little white dog and the big dog, and they were buddies. And when Max passed, Riley just went into depression. I mean, he was like, it was insane. To see that, you knew. Yeah. So that's why we got Lucy.
Right.
And those two were good. And it's funny because with Brianna's Frenchie. When the Frenchie comes over, Lucy is like freaked out. She's like, she doesn't want to have anything to do with the dog. She walks out of the room. Doesn't. So I'm like, man, I really hope Lucy doesn't go into like this depression where we had to try to find. I guess we had to get her a goldfish instead of another dog because she doesn't like any other dog.
What type of dog is Lucy?
She's a black lab pit mix.
Black lab, right?
And the one thing we can kind of think about or think the thought of course, you can't, again, you can't ask him like, well, what's your problem with this dog,
Right.
And even though Lucy is a super talker, I come home, I got 35 minutes talking to the dog. She tells me her whole day, and she's barking, growling, roughing around, and I wish I could understand her.
Right.
But I told Jenny tonight, I said, well, we'll see how things go. But if we're going to be looking at another dog, Lucy's got to pick it out.
Yeah.
Because, other than that, I'm not bringing home something that she can't be in the same room with or don't like.
Right.
But the only thing we were thinking about with the Frenchie is how small it is. And with Lucy being a bigger dog, maybe she doesn't know what it is. Or
it's kind of funny, when we had our little Yorkie, my neighbor across the street, he always had pit bulls, and they were big dogs, but always friendly. And the two of them, they would go up like the Yorkie would just go right nose to nose with them, and they would play. But we were always very careful because one slip and that pit bull can take our dog out, and he would like play. They would start getting a little rougher as they were playing because that's what dogs do. And we always had to break it up. Like, you know what, we don't want an accident here. It can be real easy, and then we're going to be missing one dog.
Well, Lucy's definitely very alpha. She takes over, and she's I don't know if that was one of the reasons because Max was very alpha with Riley. I mean, he was a little dog. He was a little dog but had a big dog in a little dog's body. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Max was an incredible dog.
Right.
But he
Riley's an interesting name for a dog. That's an interesting name.
Yeah, we've had our Goldens were Eddie, Trouble, Sully, and Riley.
Okay.
So, and then we had Max was the Westie, and Lucy here's the black lab.
Yeah.
Our only female was the. So.
Well, they are definitely part of the family, and man, I can commiserate with you because, like I said, I thought today was going to be the day, and we're still on pins and needles. We don't know what's going to happen, but and it's always hard. It's always a tough thing to do. It's very emotional. But
Riley had a huge mass we had to have removed just recently. So he recovered good. I mean, like I said, it was no complications, and it was able to go in and get him. He had a huge, like starting to grow a double chest. I mean, it was huge. So it's nothing but fun.
Yeah, and I know we've said it many times. I've heard other people.
That's it. No more.
No more. But you realize how enriched your life is with a pet. It really is. And then there's good years. There's a lot of good times, but it's the other side of that story is always like it's like, man, it's just as bad if not worse at the end than it is. But then you say, how do you balance it out? Good is good, and bad is bad. But it ain't easy, man.
When Sully had passed, he was the the Goldens. He was last because at one time we had Eddie in the original. Eddie was our first, and when we got married, he stayed with my mother-in-law, and then we had Trouble and Sully. And Sully was a rescue dog. We had to remove his ears because they were so infected and so bad.
Oh, yeah.
And when we got him, he was something like 18 pounds, and he had no hair. He was pretty. I actually was a little worried about him when we had kids because of him, the situation he was in. I didn't, I didn't really if he would be good with kids, because he was slightly abused,
Right.
and so, but he was great with the kids, and he was kept in a cage, a very small cage. So he grew to the size of the cage.
Yeah.
So when we got him, he looked like a miniature golden,
Yeah.
When he went. So, but when he passed, I'll never forget. The wife said, "No more. We can't go through this. No more dogs." And I was like, "Okay."
Everybody says.
And that lasted like 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it was funny because I didn't want to say anything because then, I had an office. This wasn't in the garage. It was in the house. And I'd go down. When everybody go to bed, the dogs would come down in the office, and I'd close out and talk and play around with the dogs. And so I found myself when I was closing out doing the paperwork, I'm talking to nobody because they're not there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, God, this. And of course, I came home and Jenny says, I think we're going to get a smaller dog instead of the big one. That's when we got Max. And there was no argument with that because, like I said, I if anybody was watching, they probably thought I'd freaked. It was out in left field because I'm sitting there talking to all the dogs. So
I know.
But it's crazy.
Yeah.
So between that and, like I said,
so who did car work? Anybody do any car work?
Just working on that Mazda.
I'll tell you something. I'm in the middle of rebuilding a buddy's carburetor for his Corvette. That's the one I featured on a post a couple months earlier last month. It's a 72 big block C3 convertible, nice car. And he was having runnability issues. It's a Quadrajet, stock intake, everything is stock on the car. And it was running a little rich, and then it was running funny, and it was just doing some crazy stuff. And I kind of did what I could and said, you know what, next step will be, let's give it a rebuild. It looks like it hasn't been apart in a while. And we finally decided, let's do the rebuild. So I took it apart yesterday, and I was explaining to him how, he showed me this kit that he got. And in it was one of those foam blocks that you put under the primary jet wells. And I explained to him how when they made the carburetors, they would come through with it's just like the drills I got from you, Brian, from Atco. It's like a drill on the end and then a tap. So they would drill through the hole, clear through the main body, and then the tap would run through to tap for the jets. They'd pull it out, they'd screw the jets in, and on the bottom they would press in 2 lead plugs. And then I said to him, you remember back like in the 70s, it was caddies that did it first. You'd park the car, and then overnight, you try to start it, especially if it was cold. You set the choke, and it would crank and crank and crank. It wouldn't start. You'd be pumping the gas. Finally, it would light off if you were lucky. Sometimes you had to take the air cleaner off and open the choke, and then it would be belching black smoke. So what happened was those lead plugs, over time, they would leak. I guess they loosened. And all the fuel that now is in the fuel bowl would drain down into the intake manifold and soak the plugs. And now you pump the crap out of it on top of it. So, black smoke all over the place. And you think it's a car, it is a carburetor problem, but usually people are blaming the choke. No, it was the jet. So the kits included this little foam block that went into the well to kind of stop that. I thought by now, they would stop giving you that because it's so obsolete. And he got one. I said, well, this is one of the parts I'll be throwing out because we don't use this. I said, the fix is you put some JB weld on those plugs. I do the primaries and the secondaries. The secondaries never leak, but I do them anyway. I said, JB weld is impervious to gas. I said, a carburetor I just did a little while ago, somebody had used some kind of red. I don't know if it started red, but it was a red looking epoxy. And when I put it in the cleaning solution in the ultrasonic, it just turned to jelly. I said, I don't know what that was, but it sure as hell wasn't JB. So I said, I'll let you know as I go along. So as I'm taking the carburetor apart yesterday, it's got, the Q-Jet has a power piston with 2 primary metering rods that go down into those jets, and vacuum raises it up and down raises the rods in and out of the jets, kind of like the way an Edelbrock works, same thing. And it's always tricky putting them together because you got to put the float in with the needle seat. Then you got to put the top gasket on the top of the middle, the body. Then you got to put that power piston in, and those little tiny needles have to go into the jets, but they have springs on them to keep them on their T hanger, and they want to splay out under that light spring pressure. So you have to squeeze them together and drop it through. And once the gasket's in place, you're kind of going blind. You can't see the jets. So by squeezing them and pushing the piston, you can usually like you'll push, and it'll just drop in. And it said, okay, then there's like this little kind of like a collar on top of it that you push down into the machined well. And if it's loose, which it is sometimes, I'll take a little chisel and just stake it like 2 times. And then once the top is on, it's not moving. Well, I found the reason why the carburetor was running, and it was really sooty. I mean, soot that was in the metal. I couldn't get it all out. Those needles, one of them was in the one jet. The other one was sitting outside the jet, and the power piston was seized. So it couldn't raise up and down. So it was plugging the one jet. It would only give it like idle's worth of fuel, and the other one was out, so it was giving it full fuel. That's why the one side of the carburetor was running richer than the other. Yeah. So I was sending them pictures. I said, look, I'm you're like a detective. I'm figuring out the problem as I'm looking at the at the data here. I said, this is like the analog version of a scan tool. You're using your eyes. There's no, you're not plugging in. You're looking.
You're lucky you just didn't do what most people do and just like take the lid off and tilt it upside down, let it all fall apart. At least you looked at what was going on,
Well, I'll tell you the truth. In this case, that power piston, it can, like, that collar can come up, and the power piston usually flops up and down. It's a brass cylinder, and it goes up and down easy. This one was seized. I had to use 2 different pair of needle nose pliers to get underneath and pry it up. So I got to actually dress that off with a nice piece of emery. It was seized, so it was really not working. Yeah. So I was telling them originally we were having some issues with the thing. I said, usually what I recommend is if a carburetor can be worn out. I said, but I know this happens to be the numbers matching carburetor for a 72 big block Corvette, and it's a hard one to find. You look on the carburetor places, and they're selling them for like $800, $900. I said, so let's see if we don't have to go through that. So just today, I was just out there again working on the carburetor. We're waiting for this radiologist to call all day. It was like 4:00. I just started going, and I'm cleaning it. I took it out of the bath. I'm cleaning it. My daughter comes out and says, "Oh, the vet is on the phone." I'm like, "Oh shit! All right, let me come in the house." And then it's like, no, now we got to go. I'm like, "Oh shit! I just started." So like, I quick mixed the JB Weld real fast. I spread it on. I hit a couple of parts that I wanted to hit with some spray paint. Some of the cast parts that rust, I use kind of like a cast gray. I hit them real quick. I said, "Good, let that dry. That little dry while we're away." And and now tomorrow I'll sit out there and put it back together. But,
when you're working on carburetors, is it like a stress reliever for you?
Unless it's a pain in the ass carburetor, yeah, because I'm out in the garage. I mean, I'll do them in the basement in the winter if it's really cold. I used to take them to work with me and do them at work. But yeah, I got the music on, and I usually got a cigar lit, and I got my special blend iced coffee that I like to drink, or some other beverage of choice. And yeah, I'm in the zone. I'm out there, I'm in the zone, and that's when like the phone starts going off. Every Yahoo in the world wants to text you, and just I was like, oh shit. Yeah, so it was quiet for hours. Now everybody wants to say something.
It's nice to have a outlet that you can relax with.
Yeah, we all need that. I happen to have several. That's one of them. I mean, I've said it many times. I'll sit there and I'll sort hardware. I will just sort hardware for an hour, and I love it. Just checking screw threads, lengths. This, maybe some's metric, some's American. I can just sit there and do that, just mindless. Because I always said, if I can put my hands in motion, I can literally shift my brain into neutral, to just kind of get away from the stress and the strain and just do something, But yeah, as long as you don't hurt yourself. You got to remember to pay attention somewhat. So
Yeah, my leather does that for me, and shooting when I go to the range.
I can't say that shooting does it because I know I'm usually on high alert and paying a lot of attention. And I just watched the video yesterday on YouTube. Some guy was it was a camera from inside a gun shop, so it was from behind the counter, and they showed. I mean, they picked this whole scene apart. There was 100 things wrong. There was one salesman dealing with a customer, and there were two customers on the other next to that customer, and they had apparently given this guy a new semi-automatic handgun in a case because the case was open, and he was showing his friend the ins and outs of this gun. But the guy, and he was a big guy too, he was trying to open the slide, and he was doing it backwards, and he was making mistakes left and right. He was pointing the gun at himself. He can't lock the slide open, which I don't know why. I mean, that's a simple thing to do. And then he puts the gun down. It's pointing at his friend. Now, okay, it's a brand new gun. It should be unloaded. But what's the first rule of handling a gun? Assume it's loaded. You know, you don't do things like that. They'll bounce you out here. These guys will bounce you out of the store. You do that shit.
Oh yeah.
Then the guy takes out his own gun, which is cardinal rule number 2 in a gun store. You never take your gun out unless you're asked to do it because you're pulling a gun on a guy. And what does he do? He's racking the slide on that. He drops the magazine. They said they saw like a bullet on the counter, but then boom, a round goes off. He shoots his friend in the abdomen. And his friend says,
wow.
Kind of like, what the hell? So, of course, everybody rushes over. And so they were just picking apart all the things that were done wrong. Everything was wrong. The guy was, should have been unattended, and he shouldn't have a gun on him in the first place. But yeah, I mean, that's the time not to be relaxed. That's the time to be on utmost. But yeah, I could see how being at the range. I mean, I'm relaxed when I'm there. I have a good time, but I'm always watching, like, a range master's watching. What are they doing?
Yeah.
How are the ranges by you, Lou? Do they, like, for instance, if you go with a buddy, will they let you swap guns and shoot the other guy's gun back and forth, or?
Yeah, but they really watch. So the outdoor range that I go to is ran by the state. So they have state guys there, and they're real. If you put your gun on the counter and it's not pointing down range, they'll come over and tell you this is number 1. You got 3 chances, and they'll kick you out.
Right.
So they're real tough on. Not tough, but they're real strict.
We had an outdoor range here in Farmingdale, and we used to the range, the indoor range that is run by the county. They used to de-lead the sand every year. They stopped doing it. It's like solid concrete now. It's like they said they couldn't keep up with it, and I guess they didn't have the money. So in the summer we'd go to the outdoor range, and it was really cool. I remember the first time I went, because not having been in the military or the police force or anything, I had never been in the presence of a range master. And this guy must have been like a gunny sergeant from the Marines, because this guy, I remember he was a short guy and he was tough. It's like, weapons in the rack, weapons remain safe. And he would, when he said, all safe, because they're going to go out and reset the targets, he would walk by and look at all your guns. And, if the breech wasn't open or the cylinder wasn't open, I had a couple of the guns I had at the time that I still have, those little AMTs. You can't lock the slide open, so you have to open the slide and either stick an empty cartridge in there, or one of those orange suppository looking things, something to show that the slide is open. And if he caught an infraction, boom, what are you doing? Stop! You want to get kicked off this range? He'd read you a riot act, and sir, yes sir. He'd be like berated. But
you have to be that way because you got so many dumb people to do stuff.
Absolutely. You know what? Even at the indoor range, you look at the sides. Where we look this, because there's barriers between each. There's bullet strikes in the sides. There's stuff. There's bullet holes everywhere, man. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, listen, you're gonna have an accidental discharge. The range is the better place than your home, because at least if you shoot up, there's a concrete ceiling. It's not going through your floor, but yeah. And listen, you got to learn, and it can happen. But the thing is, learn from it, and learn to be ultra safe. And like I said, many years ago, my buddy would come over, and we'd be talking guns. I'd be showing him, bringing him out the guns, whatever. And my wife standing there, kind of just being quiet. And she said to me after we were done, she goes, "I got to ask you a question." She says, you came out of the bedroom, with a gun, and then you brought all the guns out, and you made sure they were safe, and you handed it to him, and he did the same thing you just did.
Mm-hmm.
He watched you do it, and you handed it to him like with an open cylinder. She goes, "What was that all about?" I said, "That's rule number one of handling a gun. Assume it's loaded." I
Yep.
said, "You're the guy that has to vouch for this unloaded gun now, so you make sure." I said, and that's just rule number one. I said, yes, it's redundant. Yes, we were 3 feet apart, and he saw me do it. But you know what? You can't get bit if you're double safe.
And that's the key right there. The rules are simple and small. There's only 4 or 5 rules that you really got to stick to. But people
it's like the buddy system. That's what it is. I mean, it's nothing. It's not saying that you didn't do it. It's just like I said. It's just a double check. It may be redundant, but it's just double checking.
It's like Star Trek. Who's got the con? The guy in charge is the guy who's got to answer for whatever happens. So when that gun's in my possession, I have to make sure it's safe, and then I can vouch for safety. If I don't, that's on me. And I know, I don't know anybody personally who's done it, but there's been a lot of cops who have shot themselves cleaning their guns, especially when they went over to semi-autos, because they would drop that magazine and they left one in the chamber. They left one hot. And God knows why they're pulling the trigger. I don't know, but the next thing you should be doing is taking the slide off, really. Yep. But I don't know why, but but a lot of cops had shot themselves in the leg cleaning their guns. I haven't heard about it lately, but maybe that kind of phased out. I hope.
Once they disarm them, they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, right. Mandani's going to disarm them all anyway.
Don't get me started.
You would think that they would teach the actors about that stuff too, that kind of safety.
Yeah.
Teach who?
Actors.
Oh, right. Yeah. Again, in that case, you have a gun that. What's the person's? They have an actual armor, like an armor, right? Yeah. That's their job to ensure that they hand somebody a safe weapon, either if it's going to be empty or it's going to have a blank or whatever. That's on them. That's their job. So,
yeah, but still, you would still check, right?
Yep. Truthfully, I guess if I was an actor, I might, because I'm also a gun owner. I've done a bunch of video. I've been interviewed a lot of times, so I would have to say, if somebody handed me a gun as they were interviewing me and asked me to do whatever, I think the first thing I would do is make sure it was safe. Yeah, I think I would, just because I'm trained to do it.
And here's something I really don't understand. There's so many accidents, and people still don't get it. That, you know what I mean? It's like, how many more accidents do we have to have before you start to realize that a gun is not a toy?
Lewis,
because it didn't happen to you.
Well, yeah, people still do stupid shit and crash their cars, and they should know better too. But the funny thing I find the funniest, Brian, you'll get a kick out of this, and I've had other people say this to me too. Whenever I pick up a battery, a drill or screw gun, I always have my finger outside that. I don't put it on the trigger because it's like it's a gun shape, so you put your finger outside until you're ready to use it.
I don't test it out all the time. That's the first thing I do. Pull the trigger, make sure it works.
I find that to be hilarious. I laugh at myself when I do that. I'm like, all right, you don't have to do that now.
That's a good habit.
When I walk around in the shops, when I'm like returning, like if I have their air, see?
Yeah, just like that. Just like that.
It's not on the trigger. I walk in, and like I said, it's just a habit.
That's right. Yeah. And that's even more dangerous. It doesn't have a trigger guard.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
When you have a 1970 or 60 CP pneumatic, that's old.
Yeah.
That's in the parts bin.
My old Snap-on is like that. But yeah, like I said, Lewis, it's training, and if you take it seriously, you'll just do that. It's yeah. But a lot of knuckleheads out there, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You guys buy anything from Mark Williams? Mark Williams drivelines?
No.
No. All right.
What does he specialize in?
It's like axles and like hard conversion parts. Like he would make a output shaft to go from like a 4L80 to whatever transfer case you have and stuff like that. He made all the different things. Anyway, Motion Raceworks.
You said Mark Williams?
Yeah, Mark. Isn't it Mark Williams? Yeah.
Because Mark Williams, he used to be a big top loader guy, 4-speed guy.
He probably specializes in 53 Buicks. And that's why none of us know him.
Mark Williams Enterprises. Anyway, Motion Raceworks just bought him. That's why I was bringing it up.
Yeah, I saw that. Saw that someplace. Yeah, Mark Williams is a lot of race car stuff.
Yeah.
I thought that was Williams. I thought that's the guy that was because I think way back in the day I had gotten some top loader stuff from him.
Brian, I thought of you today. I was watching an episode of the guys from Damascus Motors, whatever the hell name
Andy.
Yeah. And he had a customer who had a 70-something a Blazer with removable top, nice truck, orange and black, and they'd done a bunch of work, a lot of I think they did paint. They said they had worked on it like the past year, and it was all cosmetically done, and it had a 350 in it, and 4-wheel drive, yada yada. But now the guy wanted a major power upgrade. He decided he wants another motor. So Andy's talking with his main guy in the yard. He says, "Look, I need something big. I need something powerful for this truck. What do we got?" And the guy says, "Well, we got that secret." And Andy's like, "Oh, no, we don't talk about that." He goes, "You want to go take a look?" Oh, well. So Andy grabs his pickaxe, throws it over his shoulder, and they go out in the yard. And there was this vehicle. He kept saying it was a Suburban, but I'd be damned. This looked like a sedan to me. And it was hit really hard. But he said he got it from a client, and he can't say who they are, but they're very powerful. Had to be a government vehicle because it had this LS in it, an LS6 with a supercharger. And he was making note of how the doors had to weigh like 600 pounds apiece. He was using the pickaxe on the glass, and he couldn't get through it. So this was like a presidential vehicle. But and knowing where he is and all, I said, okay, that might have been a Secret Service vehicle or whatever. Yeah. So they cherry picked the engine out and he put it in the Bronco, in the Blazer rather. But just kind of interesting that he had something from the government. And I don't know how they. He said they're a client, so he goes, "Yeah, I can't mention their name, or they won't want to do business with me again." So God knows how that went, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, well, actually, it's funny because one of the shops I go to, and of course, it's changed hands several times, but the name is the same, or it's been the same name since day one. It's been around since the mid '60s, early '60s. But it was funny because, when I was talking to my dad, and I said, "Oh, I'm, downtown Silver Spring, and I go to the shop, blah blah blah." And he said, "Really?" He said they used to do our limo work.
Ah, okay.
For the service and truck, and so I said, "Really?" I said, "God," he goes, and he's like, "Is it?" So? I said, "Man, I don't know how you got the stuff in there because it's in an alley." You know what I'm saying? And so oddly enough, I was in there one day talking to the guy that owned it, but the original owner was there, and I said, he goes, "Oh, this is someone," and I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh yeah." He goes, "We were not supposed to talk about it, but I used to do all of that, those cars." Right. And it's just funny,
Yeah.
You would think, or I don't think, but you think that it would be all hush hush, or they'd have their own.
You would think, yeah, because I mean, guys building a vehicle, who's not to say he's putting bugs in there or whatever. Yeah.
So,
you would think.
I'm sure it's checked out afterwards, but looked at, but
I guess
Yeah. But I just thought that was kind of interesting, and I like I said, I don't doubt. I don't doubt anything, and like I said, I'm really sorry. Well, if it's wrecked, it's wrecked. I mean, like I said, it's
wrecked.
I guess you can get. There was a junkyard up there in Cave Town that I used to go to. That's in the very in between in the Panhandle on the very top. In that small part of Maryland, where when you took one step over, you're in Pennsylvania. I mean, in Pennsylvania, or one step, you're in West Virginia. It's just right up in that area.
Yeah.
And they had military half tracks up there. That was like crazy. I was like going to that junkyard was crazy, climbing over all that stuff. That's that's when that was our one of our first dates. I go by and pick the wife or the girlfriend up, and she comes out all dolled up. I said, "You might want to dress down a little."
Trade those heels in for a pair of Timberlands.
Take the old top off the Scout, and that's that was like I don't know, 4-hour trip or whatever.
Wow.
Drive out in the sunset and go up in a junkyard and play around all day.
It's funny you say that, because just today, as we're going to this vet, I took some back streets, and I knew where I was. I told my wife, I said, "Oh yeah," I said, "Here's where all the the junkyards are. They've been here for years." She goes, "We're not stopping, are we?" I said, No. I said, "I don't need anything now. Don't worry." I said, "I know where they are. I can come back."
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. That's funny.
Junkyards are going away.
Yeah.
They are. They really are.
Well, here they started tax. You had to pay taxes on all that stuff.
Really?
You couldn't have something so old, and like I said, here there's nothing around here anymore. They all became used parts place.
Yeah.
They won't even let you pull. You can't even go in and pull your own stuff anymore.
No.
Yeah, that's been the case around here for a while now.
Yeah, all the time.
We can still do it here, but they got rid of all the older cars. Like, everything's newer.
Right.
Like, if you have anything in the 80s, you're in trouble.
Yeah, that's like I said. They had to clean all that up because you had to pay taxes, or you had to pay some kind of salvage fee. You couldn't have anything old.
Yeah.
And all that
older
stuff.
Year.
Yeah, that stuff all. So, yeah, we have. I tell you, a lot of good junkyard stories, man. I tell you.
Oh yeah.
That was a crazy. That's a whole adventure in itself in some of these junkyards, and some of the people you meet.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Junkyard.
I like all the people that asked to borrow tools.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you don't leave. I mean, I had one time I was pulling the front strut assemblies, and the axle, and pulling the whole thing, and I laid the tools on the hood, and I'm down in, and I heard something, and I stood up, and the other guy coming across the hood to take the tools. I was like, "Excuse me," and he's like, "Oh, I thought somebody left."
Oh, they're yours?
I'm like, yeah,
right.
Okay.
And when I had my first Fiat, I needed. Oh, that car has these rear lower trailing arms, and they're tubular. They look, they're maybe about 1.5 inches diameter, not quite 2-inch diameter, and they look really sturdy, but they're hollow too. They just locate the rear, and I don't know why, but every Yahoo in the world decided that was the place to jack up the rear of the car, and they had bent, bent, and now the rear would jump up, and it would dogleg, it did all sorts of crazy shit. So my first car had that problem on one side, so I found a junkyard in Queens. They were down by Kennedy Airport, which I'm sure that's long gone too. And I told the guy what I needed. So he had me go out in the yard. It was a rainy day. I slog out there, and I see the car, and I tell him, I said, "Yeah, this is what I need." I want to see that they weren't bent first, and they were good. So the guy proceeds he's going to just cut the rear end out of the thing. I'm like, you can unbolt these, but so I guess it was the guy who was running the parts for me. I think when I went out with him and the boss the first time, and the boss told him what to do, and he says, "All right, tell him whatever else you need, and then meet me back in the office." So when the boss walks away, the guy says to me, "Yeah, you need anything else for that car?" I was like, well, I don't know. I got pretty much everything I need. He goes, no, man, I make you a good deal. Whatever you need, whatever you see here, you tell me. He goes, I'll work it out. I'm like, all right. The dash cluster, the whole dash cluster with the gauges is held on my 4 thumb screws. I'm like, pull that out. And a couple other things. He goes, yeah, I'll meet you by the fence, man. I meet you by the fence. I was like, I had to give him like, 20, $30 or whatever. And he handed me I paid for my arms, and then I had to go around the side, meet him by the fence, and he gave me the rest of the part.
That's like we had this one place up here, and I'm walking through and I see something, and I hear this, hey, don't touch my car. And there's a guy standing there, he's sitting leaning up against the fender. And I'm like, well, I need the parts off. And he goes, no, this is my car. And I'm like, who's this joker? Yeah. So I'm like, all right, dude. So I walk along and I found what I needed. So I come back and he's like, hey, he hands me a card with his name and phone number on it. He goes, here. He goes, you call me and tell me what you're looking for, and I'll hold the car for you. So that's what he did, and he got paid. It would paid for his service. He sat out out in and see what was coming in, and when the fresh meat came in, if somebody was looking for something, he'd go and protect it, and you paid him X amount of money.
Oh,
and
wow!
Sat out there, and
that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like. So
you pick a car that's way out in the field. You go, yeah, I want that car over there. Here's whatever, $10, and then he goes and you take whatever you want off that car.
Yeah, well, the funny part was, so I go in and pay. I paid for the parts that I needed, and I was like, hey, who's that joker out there? That's he goes, that guy's back on the lot. I gotta go run him off, because he was, he'd go in there. Then they started charging, like you had to, even if you didn't get anything, it was like, $2.50 to just to walk the lot.
Wow.
They're doing that here now too.
Yeah, I don't know how much it is now. It's been a while. Like I said, I don't even know. I know that junkyard was bought up by this used auto part place type thing that's bought up a whole bunch of stuff. But they actually were one of the better ones, or one of the. They had it was kind of funny. You went in and you paid, I think it was just $1 to get in. And of course they had to search whatever you were taking in to make sure it didn't have any parts, you weren't stealing anything or taking anything out. And then they would give you, it was like a carry out menu from a Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
And it had it was broken down. Door, $35. Door with glass, $45. It was right off the menu.
Nickel dime, yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Because, like I said, it was this oversized Chinese menu that had all the prices in it, and they gave you one and cut you loose in the yard. So those, like I said, those are far and few between now, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I remember I bought wheels, the rims, and had tires on them, which the tires were junk, flat and torn up, whatever. And I just wanted to do the rims. And he goes, all right, it's this much for the rims and this much for the tires. I go, the tires are garbage. I'm not going to use these tires. Oh, okay, well, you can take them off and bring them back. I'm like, you're going to charge me for them. I got to take them somewhere, dismount them, then bring the tires back and get my money.
Right.
I'm like, I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
It's really going to charge me for tires. Yep.
That's crazy.
Like, whatever. Bought tires and I threw them away but I wanted the wheels.
Right.
I'm trying to remember. I bought something. It was like I bought maybe power seats or something. And it goes, all right, so the seat is this, and then you have the motor, and then the switch. I'm like, so the seat that I just pulled out in one piece, and you're charging me for two other things. It's like, yeah, they're all separate. I'm like,
yeah, a la carte.
It's not worth it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's separate.
That's like, Chris talked about on the show Sunday. He's got this Chevy Tracker, which is, I think, an 80-something. So it's a little shitbag run around. But it had a cover on the spare tire, I guess a hard cover, and he needed one. So he found a woman in town. I guess she advertised it.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
And he called her, and she says, "Oh, okay. Well," she says, "let me get back to you. Let me do my research, and I'll get back to you." And she did, like, I don't know where she looked, but she got back to us, says, well, list price was like $150, so I only charge $120. He's like, what? Like, you got like $20 would be generous,
Yeah.
But yeah, people are like,
So that's the problem with the internet. It's made people think they got something worth a lot.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
All right,
especially. All right, Jim. Take it easy.
All right, Jim.
Take it easy.
Hey, Jim.
Have a good week.
Yeah, well, that's like I said, that always drives me crazy because, first thing when you're in the middle of trying to unload something or whatever, the guy pulls up, eBay or whatever,
Right.
and he starts looking. I was like, whoa, we're not looking at what people are listing it for. Let's look at what was sold.
Yeah.
There's a difference between listing and selling,
Oh,
and but even then,
I was selling parts off the Prius, and I have no idea how much an inverter is. So that's what I did. I looked. Let me see what eBay is and other places and Facebook. So it was about $200. So some guy says, I think I put $200 right on Facebook. That guy goes, "Will you take like 170?" I go, "Yeah, fine." I have no idea what it's worth. I just put a random price up there somewhere where I'm seeing other prices. I go, "All right, yeah, I want to get rid of it. I don't want to hold on to this thing."
That's smart. Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Sold it.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Yeah, I got to sell a bunch of stuff. I really
Yeah,
do.
me too.
You need to get like a, was it 70, 72
Brian?
Riviera?
Well, 71 to 73. That's the one I can convert the interior on.
You need to get one that has a bench seat and put all the stuff in it and then sell the whole car.
Well, like I said,
then you have to have a bench seat.
I know what'll happen. I'll move, and in the garage where I moved, there's going to be a Riviera, or the guy next door is going to have one, and I'm like,
No, that's what I'm saying. Go buy a Riviera.
Go find one. Yeah,
go find one with a bench because you have the buckets, right?
I got the buckets, console, and the column. Yeah.
Yeah, so go find one with a bench seat, convert it, throw out the bench stuff, and then sell the car. And go, look, it has bucket seats and console.
Crazy.
Yeah. Good luck.
Thrown away. Yeah. 1 year only car.
I don't know.
I got a whole bunch of stuff to sell, and I got so much junk in front of it, I can't even get to it to pull it out to take pictures and sell it.
Oh yeah, well, that's the thing.
Clean half the garage out.
Right.
That's what I did last weekend. I'm gonna do that again this weekend. Clean more of the stuff out.
Yeah.
I just got like freaking stuff all over the place. Like, do I need another HHR mirror? I don't think I need that extra mirrors for that. An extra radio, stock radio. I'm just gonna right in the garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one day I'll go through the trailer of wheels. I got a bunch of Corvette wheels.
You got Corvette wheels?
Yeah.
What
Not good ones, like the 17-inch, like the salad shooter ones, whatever they call, like what years? 90s.
90s, yeah.
Yeah, they fit Volvos. I got a guy that has a square body Volvo, and he put a set of Corvette wheel. It looks actually really good on it.
They fit VWs too, right? Some of those fit VWs too.
Oh wow! I tell you, right around the corner from me showed up like a P144 wagon. It's dropped. It looks like it's got a wider wheel on it. It's a little ratty because the license plates are zip tied on.
Uh-huh.
And I kind of looked inside, and I came around the back and I saw, he's got a chrome tailpipe on the thing, but I was waiting to see dual. And then I'm looking inside, he's got some kind of gauge mounted in there. I'm like, I wonder if this thing's got a V8 in it. It's just sitting there.
On the Volvos, the big thing is I got a couple of guys that have small block Fords in them.
Yeah, the 302, sure.
Yeah.
And Tim Allen, right? I think has that.
Right. Tim Allen's show started again last night. Shifting Gears. Season 2 started last night.
Yeah,
that's a good show.
I haven't watched that.
I haven't watched regular TV in a long.
I know it's on regular TV, so I don't watch it. He should put it on YouTube, then I'll watch it.
It's on Channel 7 of all things. Yeah.
I like how he's bringing in people from his other shows.
Oh, everybody's on this one last night. His
Yeah.
wife from the last show is on it. Then his wife, Jill Richardson, from the first show from Home Improvement was on it. Al Karn was on last night as a support guy. And he's in this mausoleum talking to his wife who passed. And he's talking with his wife from the last show, who's a friend. And behind her was the name Jill Richardson on one of the mausoleum plaques.
Oh yeah.
Shit. He's doing Easter eggs everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's on Disney Plus. I can watch it on there. All right, that's what I do.
Yeah, we just watched it today.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so tempted to watch Fantastic Four, Amazon Prime, but I'm not. I'm gonna resist.
Okay.
Well, they had what's the other one? Thunderbirds or whatever. Thunder. The heck that was not Thundercats. Whatever it was, and it was on Amazon. I'm like, oh yeah, and so I watched it, and then like maybe a month later, it was on Disney Plus, and we already have a subscription, so I could have watched it for free if I had patience.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to.
Yeah. There's one of the guys I follow on YouTube, and he keeps saying, "Yeah, you people keep complaining that there's commercials and all." He goes, "Well, don't be a cheap fuck." He says, subscribe to my Patreon, and you get it. You get it without the commercials. He goes, if there's another way, let me know. So I wrote him a comment and said, "Yeah, dude." I said, I bought Amazon Premium, and I said, I'm spoiled now because no commercials at all. I said, if I had to go back and see commercials, I don't think I'd watch.
I'm just doing it for as principle, because when we signed up for Amazon Prime way back when it started, you get to watch TV, you get to watch the shows, no commercials. Now all of a sudden, oh, you don't want to see commercials, you got to pay another $3.
Yeah, and they never show any of the good movies.
Yeah.
When they first started, you got all the good stuff. Now, man, you get garbage.
Yeah.
Or you got to pay for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because they do have like in theater movies, but it's like $25. Which, I mean, if you have a whole family, it's cheaper than going to the movies. But
yeah,
like,
well, I went to the movies last week to
streaming.
see Spinal Tap, the Journey Never Ends, and because it was matinee day, and because I'm a senior citizen, I paid $7.50. I'm like, I don't know what a movie costs. I know it's expensive. $7.50, I could do.
$7.50 not bad. Yeah.
It's good.
And
to
then would you spend $20 for a soda and popcorn?
No, I didn't go that route. I roughed it. I brought a couple of Fig Newtons with me.
There you go.
I really went cheap.
Yeah.
The
theater by us, the way we go, we pass right by a Walgreens.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but don't worry. One day you'll go to the movies and they'll pad you down pretty good. Don't worry. They won't let you take.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
What is a full
X-ray
boat?
machine.
Yeah, right. What is a full boat movie ticket these days? I don't even know.
I think it's $14 or $15.
Wow.
Yeah, something like
It's
that.
more than that. When the
Really?
girls went to go see that Leo and Stitch movie or whatever, dude, I can't remember, but it was insane. It was the four of them, and it was, I don't know, $60-some or something.
Whoa. Yeah.
Regular price, adult, $14.
Nothing Hollywood's doing is that good.
$14 for adults.
Wow. I'll go on matinee day.
Yeah.
Senior discount day. Oh,
Senior
senior
discount.
discount Monday. What? One more year. One more year and it'll only be $12. $12.68. Oh, come on.
What is it? What's the breakout?
So regular price is $13.99. Senior 55 and over is $12.68.
Okay.
It's it's something, but come on.
Yeah, well.
Come with 68. Yeah.
I was at Denny's. We were at Denny's. I forget where we were at, Wisconsin or somewhere. And a guy in front of me had pulled out his AARP card, and he got 15% off. And I was like, "Wait a minute, I got one of those."
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom did that when we went to Outback. She goes, "Well, we went to Outback, and check comes, and I'm looking at it, and I'm going, and she does the slip under the table, and I thought she's slipping a few bucks, AARP,
Now look, man, I'll get all silver script up on you. We'll be talking Medicare silver script cards, man. I'll start showing you the whole bit.
So it's just if you have the AARP card, because 18 or older.
Yeah.
18 or older.
Yeah, that's just the eligibility is 18 or older.
For AARP?
Yeah. Anyone 18 or older can join AARP. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
I
that.
heard of that. It's supposed to be
So you just get it and then just yeah, I thought it was for older people.
the American Association of Retired People, right?
Retired.
Yeah.
I keep getting the thing, and the wife goes, "When are you going to order? When are you going to get your car?" I said, "I'm not getting this card." And she goes, "You should. You get a discount." I said, "I don't get it. I'm not getting this card."
Brian, you'll ease into it. You'll ease into it, and it'll be okay.
It's bad enough when I tell the chick at the Roy Rogers. She goes, "Oh, I didn't forget your senior discount." And I said, "I'm not a senior yet."
That's what we went to Culver's and she rang it up and I look on the thing and it's like senior discount. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna say anything. Right? Yeah.
You definitely
Must
don't
be
look
because-
old enough. Yeah.
I go through, I get
my
a cup
wife.
of coffee at McDonald's, and they're like, "You want a senior cup?" And I was like, "No."
I want the senior double cup. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just embrace it, Brian. Just embrace it.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna fight it to the end. Don't worry.
Listen, I'm gonna look for everywhere that accepts the AARP.
Right,
I don't know where to go.
Oh, I got friends, guys that are older than me. They're in their 70s, and they're like, "Yeah, man, I love going to Home Depot. I get my veterans discount all the time." It's like, I don't know how much they give them, 10%, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, all right, okay.
Everything adds up.
Yeah, it was 10%, I think.
Well, everything has definitely gone up. That's for damn sure. That's for sure. So, yeah, discount isn't a bad thing.
But of course, I guess when you have this white hair, I guess everybody just assumes that I'm just the old guy.
Grandpa, yep. Well, when I was still working, a kid got on the bus and said, "Hey, old school, how you doing today?"
Old
Like,
school.
Old school.
Hey,
Well, that's better than old man.
Yeah.
I got guys. I'm OG when I walk in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I said, "Don't you forget it, because I got a baseball bat with your name on it."
right.
Right.
Yeah, I was telling Bobby too. We were talking about, the troubles because he had an issue with a truck. So I was talking about the troubles you have with your truck, and he goes, "How is he doing business? How is he?" I said, "Well, his mom's minivan, man." I said, "Yeah, you got to do what you got to do." And then he asked me a question. He said, "Well, how do those guys get around the shops? Like if there's a big shop." I was like, "Oh, I got a picture of that too." So I found a picture of the shopping cart. I said, "This is how he does it." He's like, "Damn, that's fucking ingenious." He goes, "This guy shouldn't be a tool guy. He should be inventing shit." Like he thought he was some kind of like rocket science. I'm like,
Did you see? I don't know if I probably didn't post it. I'm really bad.
No, you
I
probably
don't post most.
I
That
know-
was like so I had back when the truck was down and I didn't have the truck. I don't know what I did with it. Oh, here. I had ordered that new work table.
Yes.
And I had, 3 or 4 of those tables that came in, and I was like, of course, this stuff is all I had a toolbox come, I had the work tables, I had I had all this stuff finally coming in,
Right.
and I was like, man, I got to get rid of this stuff. So I said, I put one together and I threw it in the back of my mom's, the Odyssey, fit in the van, in the Odyssey. And I filled it up with stuff and rolled it into the shops.
That's smart. Yeah, that's smart.
And I sold all the ones I had, and I did whatever I had. That day
Right.
I was hustling Milwaukee ratchets and the cups and ratchets.
Right.
So, but I just threw it on and rolled in, cleared it's funny because cleared the whole shop. Everybody comes over. That was everybody in the shop looking
Okay.
at the table.
And that's what we were talking about. I was explaining to him. I said, that's like proof of concept. I said, but that is, down home grassroots advertising. Put the product in front of people, and when they see it, they can buy it. I said, that was just, I said, Brian, I said, plus he knows his clientele. He knows what guys use. I said, so, you kind of pick and choose what you're going to bring into each shop because they're all different. I said, but you just increased your chances of making the sale. I said, now a guy has to come out to the truck. And he was like, wow, that's really smart. I was like,
well, we had a new guy.
He's a millionaire.
I wish. Yeah. I had a new guy. We had a new guy, and he goes, man, I don't know what to take into the shop. I don't know. I said, well, I said, being an old guy, I said, this is what I had to do sometimes. Sometimes I had to go in the shop to take a leak, before, but I go in and I see what the guys are working on.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I see what they're working on. And if I see one that has a broken bolt, or I see one fighting with something, or I see some guy doing, oil change, those, I go back and I grab those tools for that particular job at that moment, because they may not have, or it might be an improvement what they have.
Sure.
And that way you walk in and you kind of like, have that ace in your sleeve, because you're like, oh, you're having problems getting that bolt out? Hey, I got these easy outs, or I got this new non-slip bolt socket.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, I said, but, of course, it does help that I worked on cars.
Right.
You don't have to be a mechanic. Some of our best guys were never in the mechanical field.
Well, no, but if it says bolt extractor kit, he should know that it's going to be used for extracting broken bolts. So my other buddy with the carburetor was in the garage, and I was showing him. I said, "Oh yeah, by the way, here's a great tool." And this guy isn't a mechanic. He was a cop. And I showed him I bought a set of gear wrench bolt extractors. I needed them at the shop one day, and I just ran up to Home Depot and got them. And I said, this is the full kit. I said, this thing will really save your ass. I used it on the catalytic converter. And then I had I bought a set of Blue Point stud installer and removers. It's the socket-based one that has the inside cam lock. And he's looking at me, he says, wow. He goes, do all mechanics have stuff like this? I said, you could look at everybody's toolbox and see a wide range. Not everybody has. There's always stuff that everybody's going to have, but specialty tools it depends on the jobs you're doing. It depends how you like to do them. I said, so no, not everybody will have it. Sometimes if one guy in the shop has it, they may do like a tool length, something, you borrow that from this guy, he'll borrow something from you, whatever. So it depends on the shop, depends on the people. I said, I'm taking care of myself, so if I need it, I have to have it. So he was just curious about I don't know, I don't even know what kind of tools mechanics need these days. I'm like, well, a lot more than it used to be. That's for damn sure, because there's so much specialty stuff. So he was looking at the stud thing, and he said, that's really cool. He says, was this tool always set up like this? So I said, no. I went in my toolbox, and I got the old Craftsman 2-piece, that big round jammy with the 1/2-inch drive. I said, this is what I've had 2 or 3 of these. I said, and I obviously still have one. I said, but if you put a stud in a manifold, it's fine. But if you have to get one in or out where there's other stuff in the way, this thing is just way too big. I said, it ain't gonna work. I said, so I pulled it. I said, you have one of these? I took out the vice grips. I said, vice grips are always a good, but you're going to mar up those threads. I said, that's why this style, the socket style, is real nice because they're a tighter fit. So I said, everything has come a long way, and but cars have gotten tighter and harder to work on too. So, screw us.
Yeah, and some of the studs that you think you can remove, you really can't remove anymore. Because the way they're put in.
Right.
And I had one on the tool truck that way.
Yeah.
It was a stud, and man, I fought that son of a bitch, and I finally realized it was. Once I had to really get up underneath there and get my fat head in there and look, I realized it was brazed in. It was welded. They put a tack on it, so I guess it couldn't loosen up. Or, man, I fought that thing. So I was like, well, we're doing a little drilling now.
Well, I think I told you when I wanted to add a couple of studs for my seats in the Pontiac. I went to Ace Hardware, and they had a selection of studs. And I actually bought 4 of them that had a big round head on the bottom. They were weld-in studs. So if you put that through a hole on the top, you're just seeing a stud, but it's welded underneath. You wouldn't know until you went underneath,
Yeah.
and you may not be able to see it depending where it is. So yeah, you don't know if it's going to come out or not. Yeah.
Why did you have to get longer studs? Because of the track rail or the space? I mean,
No. Well, no. What it is on the Pontiacs. I don't know why they do this, but the inside mounts by the tranny tunnel have two studs, front and back, and they're actually short. And the outer rails, there's threaded holes in the floor, like threaded inserts.
Oh.
So I put studs there.
Oh.
So I could locate everything easier without having to poke through the carpet.
Okay.
So I just did that.
Huh.
All right.
So yeah.
All right. So let me shut down here. Everybody in the chat and live on YouTube, we appreciate everybody coming to check us out. And we do this every Thursday night at 9 o'clock Eastern time. So tell all your peoples, come check us out. And if you have any suggestions for me, please leave them in the comments. And Ray said, hold on, he's coming back, right?
I hope so.
You're going to take a nap? So check out Motor Mouth Radio on Sunday at 12 o'clock in the morning. And you can check out Ray and Chris. Where you at, Ray? All right, everybody. We'll see you later.
All right.